As you lie here, breathing slowly, the surface of your body begins to soften. Muscles loosen their grip. Thoughts stretch and thin like clouds at dusk. And beneath all of that visible calm, another world continues its quiet work. You cannot see it, and you do not need to. It has been with you from the very beginning, older than memory, older than language, older than your name. Inside you lives a vast and gentle ecosystem. It does not ask for attention, yet it shapes how you feel, how you hunger, how you rest. It hums softly beneath your ribs, beneath the steady rise and fall of your breath. Tonight, as the outside world fades, you are invited inward, toward this hidden landscape that has always been awake. Your gut is not empty space. It is not silence. It is crowded with life, trillions of tiny organisms moving, resting, communicating. They are bacteria, though that word may sound sharp or clinical. Here, they are more like quiet companions, microscopic gardeners tending soil you never see. Together, they form what science calls the gut microbiome, an inner ecosystem as complex as a rainforest, as responsive as a tide. You do not feel them individually. You feel them collectively, translated into sensations you know well. Comfort after a meal, a sudden craving, a sense of calm that settles without explanation. These feelings seem to arise from nowhere, but they do not. They rise from conversations happening deep inside you, conversations carried out in chemistry instead of words. As your breathing slows, imagine this inner world dimming its lights slightly, like a city preparing for night. Activity continues, but gently now. Bacteria metabolize what remains of your last meal. They break complex foods into smaller pieces, releasing nutrients, signals, and byproducts. Some of those signals drift upward, carried by nerves and blood, eventually reaching your brain. You never hear the message as sound, but you experience it as feeling. This is one of the quiet truths of your body. You are not a single voice. You are a chorus. Your thoughts, your emotions, your cravings are shaped not only by your mind, but by this internal community working constantly on your behalf. When you feel hungry or satisfied, or inexplicably drawn to certain foods, it is not a failure of will. It is communication. For most of human history, this world inside you was invisible and unnamed, yet it guided survival with remarkable precision. Long before nutrition labels or scientific studies, the microbiome helped humans sense what they needed. It adapted to seasons, scarcity, abundance. It learned patterns and remembered them. Even now, in a modern world of constant availability, it continues to respond as it always has, slowly, thoughtfully, biologically. As you rest, your gut and brain remain in close conversation. A long nerve called the vagus nerve acts like a soft-spoken messenger, carrying information between them. It does not shout. It whispers. It tells your brain whether the environment feels safe, whether resources are plentiful, whether rest is possible. Your brain listens even when you are not aware of it listening. This is why your body sometimes asks for comfort when you are tired, why stress can feel like hunger, why calm can arrive after certain meals. These are not coincidences. They are outcomes of an ancient partnership between your nervous system and the life within your gut. Picture now a slow river moving through a landscape at night. The river is your digestion, steady and patient. Along its banks, countless small lives gather nourishment and release signals into the flow. Nothing rushes. Nothing forces. Balance emerges not from control, but from cooperation. Your body knows this rhythm well. It was built for it. Even cravings, which so often feel intrusive, belong to this system. They are not commands. They are requests shaped by chemistry and history. Sometimes they reflect true need. Sometimes they echo imbalance. But always they are messages rather than mistakes. Listening gently is the first step toward understanding them. As you sink deeper into rest, your microbiome shifts into nighttime mode. Certain bacteria become more active. Others quiet themselves. Repair processes begin. The lining of your gut renews itself, cell by cell, maintaining a barrier that protects you while still allowing connection. This quiet maintenance happens every night, whether you notice it or not. There is something deeply comforting about this. Even as your conscious mind drifts, care continues. Work continues. Balance is sought again and again. You are not required to manage it. You are only required to exist. Science tells us that this inner ecosystem influences not only digestion, but mood, immunity, even how you respond to stress. But tonight, you do not need to memorize facts. You only need to feel the reassurance of complexity handled on your behalf. You are not simple, and you are not alone within yourself. Let your breath deepen slightly now. With each exhale, imagine listening more closely to your body's quieter signals. Not the loud thoughts, but the subtle sensations beneath them. Warmth, heaviness, ease. These are the languages of systems that have learned to keep you alive. The microbiome does not think in days or deadlines. It thinks in patterns and cycles. It responds to what you offer it repeatedly, patiently, without judgment. Over time, it adapts just as ecosystems always do. Tonight is only an introduction, a gentle opening of awareness. As sleep draws nearer, the boundary between you and this inner world feels thinner. You begin to sense that hunger, comfort, and desire do not arise from nowhere. They emerge from a place of quiet collaboration, from a living landscape beneath your ribs that has been shaping your experience all along. And as you rest here, listening, you may begin to wonder what this hidden world truly looks like when seen up close. Not as a single presence, but as a vast community, moving together like a city settling into night. As the night deepens and your body grows heavier, the world inside you begins to resemble a city settling into evening. Not a city of noise or urgency, but one of quiet purpose. Streets narrow and unseen. Buildings are microscopic. Movement is constant, yet calm. Beneath your ribs, beneath the soft curve of your breath, millions upon millions of lives continue their gentle routines. This city does not sleep when you do. It simply changes pace. Your gut is long and folded, warm and dark, a perfect place for life to gather. Along its walls, microbes attach, drift, divide, and communicate. Some stay briefly, others remain for years. Together they form neighborhoods, communities shaped by what arrives, what leaves, and what lingers. Like any city, it is defined by cooperation far more than competition. Each microbe has a role, though none knows it consciously. Some specialize in breaking down fibers your own body cannot digest. They act like patient recyclers, turning rough plant material into useful compounds. Others focus on sugars, fermenting them slowly, releasing energy and signals as they work. Some manufacture vitamins, tiny gifts sent outward to support your cells. Others keep watch, discouraging harmful invaders simply by taking up space. No one organism runs the city. Balance emerges from numbers, from diversity, from relationship. Imagine the city lights turning on one by one. A cluster here, another there. Each light represents activity, not thought, but chemistry unfolding exactly as it should. The glow is steady, not bright. It does not demand attention. Yet without it, the city would falter. Without it, you would feel the difference. This is how your inner ecosystem operates. When many types of microbes are present, the city hums smoothly. Tasks are shared. Signals are balanced. But when diversity shrinks, when certain groups dominate while others disappear, the city changes its tone. Some lights burn too bright. Some neighborhoods fall quiet. Communication becomes uneven. You may feel this shift without knowing why. A craving might arrive suddenly, sharp and specific. Energy might dip unexpectedly. Comfort foods may call louder than usual. These sensations feel personal, but they are communal outcomes. They arise from populations shifting beneath your awareness, from neighborhoods growing crowded or sparse. Your body is sensitive to these changes because it must be. The gut and brain are deeply connected, exchanging information constantly. When the city beneath your ribs sends a message, your brain receives it as feeling rather than fact. You do not hear, a certain bacterial group is underfed. You feel, I want something sweet, or I need something warm and filling. Neither sensation is wrong. They are translations. As you rest, picture tiny messengers moving through the city, carrying chemical notes from one area to another. These notes influence how fast digestion moves, how much hunger hormone is released, how satisfied you feel after eating. The city does not speak in words. It speaks in gradients, in concentrations, in timing. This is why consistency matters so much to your inner ecosystem. Cities thrive on predictability. Regular meals, varied foods, gentle rhythms of sleep and wakefulness allow microbial communities to stabilize. When patterns are steady, cooperation deepens. When patterns are chaotic, the city shifts into a more reactive state. Stress, too, reaches this place. Stress hormones change the environment of the gut, altering which microbes feel comfortable and which struggle to survive. In times of tension, the city becomes less diverse, more defensive. Certain groups flourish under pressure, others retreat. The balance tilts, and the messages sent upward begin to change. You are not failing when this happens. You are witnessing adaptation. Your inner city is ancient. It evolved to respond quickly to threat, scarcity, and change. In the past, stress often meant danger or hunger. Cravings for fast energy made sense then. Today, the same signals arise, even when the threats are quieter and more abstract. Deadlines, worries, noise. The city responds anyway because it cannot tell the difference. As your breathing remains slow, imagine walking gently through this inner city. You are not an outsider. You are the landscape itself. The buildings are built into your tissue. The roads follow the curves of your body. Everything here exists in relationship to you and to each other. Some microbes depend on what you eat today. Others rely on what you ate yesterday or last week. Some thrive when you choose variety. Others when you repeat familiar foods. Over time, your habits shape which communities grow strong. The city reflects your patterns faithfully, without judgment. This reflection can feel surprising. You may believe cravings come from desire alone, but often they come from the city asking to be fed in the way it has learned to expect. A population that has grown large will signal loudly. A population that has dwindled will whisper if it signals at all. Neither is permanent. Cities change. As night continues, many microbes shift their activity toward repair and maintenance. Waste is processed. Short-chain fatty acids are produced, nourishing the cells lining your gut and calming inflammation. These compounds also travel to your brain, subtly influencing mood and stress response. Calm emerges not just from thought, but from chemistry shaped by cooperation. This is why rest matters so deeply. Sleep gives the city time to rebalance without interruption. Signals soften. Repair accelerates. The environment becomes more stable. Over time, this stability reshapes cravings, making them less urgent, less sharp. You do not need to control this city. You only need to care for it gently. Diversity comes from variety. Stability comes from rhythm. Safety comes from rest. These are the conditions under which communities thrive, whether they are visible or hidden beneath your ribs. As you lie here, imagine the city lights dimming slightly, not shutting down, but settling into a quieter mode. Movement continues. Cooperation continues. The skyline remains steady and patient. Beneath your breath, an entire world works together to support you. And as you drift closer to sleep, you may begin to wonder how, exactly, these countless residents decide what to ask for next. How cravings themselves are shaped, not by impulse, but by conversation unfolding quietly in the dark. Cravings do not crash into you without warning. They rise slowly, like mist lifting from the ground, almost unnoticed at first. A faint pull, a subtle leaning of attention. As you rest here, wrapped in stillness, you can sense how gentle they truly are when nothing rushes them into urgency. Cravings are not emergencies. They are messages forming in layers, shaped long before they reach awareness. Inside your body, the city beneath your ribs has been speaking all along. Now, you begin to understand how its conversations take shape as desire. The process is quiet, precise, and deeply biological. No judgment exists here. Only signals responding to conditions. Every craving begins as chemistry. When microbes digest food, they produce molecules that drift outward, like notes released into the air. Some influence hormones related to hunger and fullness. Others interact with nerve endings woven through the gut wall. These nerves do not ask permission. They transmit information upward automatically, faithfully. Your brain receives these signals not as data, but as sensation. Hunger hormones rise and fall gently, like tides. When energy feels scarce, the signal grows stronger. When nutrients arrive, it softens. But cravings are not always about calories. Sometimes they are about balance. A lack of fiber, a surplus of sugar, a disrupted rhythm caused by stress or poor sleep. The body notices shifts long before the mind does. Memory plays a role too. Your nervous system remembers which foods once brought relief, comfort, or quick energy. Microbes remember as well, though not consciously. Populations that are frequently fed grow larger and more influential. Over time, they shape the signals being sent. The body learns patterns and repeats them, not out of habit, but out of adaptation. As you breathe slowly, imagine signals traveling upward like glowing threads. They move along the vagus nerve, a long, winding pathway connecting gut and brain. This nerve does not shout. It hums. It carries information about safety, satisfaction, and need. Your brain listens constantly even while you sleep. When a craving reaches awareness, it feels personal. Feels like you. But it is the result of countless small processes aligning. Chemistry, memory, microbial balance, hormonal rhythm. None of it is random. None of it is moral. It is simply how bodies communicate with themselves. Cravings often become louder during fatigue or stress. This is not coincidence. Stress hormones change the environment inside the gut, favoring certain microbes over others. These microbes may produce signals that increase appetite for fast energy. The body, sensing threat, asks for reassurance in the form of fuel it recognizes quickly. Sweetness, salt, fat, these are ancient comforts. They once meant survival. Even now, the body remembers. Yet cravings are not commands. They are invitations to listen. When ignored entirely, they often grow louder, not out of defiance, but because the message remains unanswered. When obeyed without awareness, they may repeat without resolution. Understanding begins when curiosity replaces resistance. Tonight, there is no need to act on any craving. You are simply observing how they are born. Notice how they are rarely sudden. They build quietly, shaped by what came before. The last meal, the last rest, the last moment of calm. Science shows that certain microbes can influence cravings directly by producing compounds that mimic hunger signals. Others reduce cravings by promoting satiety and calm. This is not manipulation. It is feedback, an ecosystem adjusting itself. Think again of the city beneath your ribs. When a neighborhood grows crowded, it asks for resources. When another declines, its voice fades. Cravings are the collective expression of these shifting populations. They are democratic, not individual. Your role is not to silence the city, but to understand its language. As your body rests, digestion slows slightly. This creates space for signals to be processed without urgency. The mind becomes more receptive. You may notice cravings lose their sharp edges in stillness. They soften into sensations rather than demands. This is how they were meant to feel. Cravings also change with time of day. Circadian rhythms influence hormone release, microbial activity, and insulin sensitivity. At night, the body leans toward repair rather than intake. Cravings that appear now are often echoes rather than needs. They pass more easily when observed gently. This is why sleep matters. Rest recalibrates the system that generates desire. It allows hormones to reset. It gives microbes time to rebalance. Over time, consistent rest changes the very cravings that arise during waking hours. You are not weak for having cravings. You are responsive. You are alive. The body does not strive for perfection. It strives for equilibrium. As you drift closer to sleep, imagine cravings as lanterns floating on a dark river. Each lantern carries information, not judgment. Some drift close, others pass by quietly. You do not need to grab them. You only need to see them. The more you understand how cravings are born, the less power they hold. not because you suppress them, but because you recognize them as part of a larger conversation happening within you. A conversation shaped by care, rhythm, and environment. Soon, you will learn that this conversation has its own grammar, its own vocabulary made not of words, but of molecules and signals exchanged patiently in the dark. The language itself is gentle, precise, and waiting to be understood. As your body grows heavier and the edges of thought soften, another form of conversation continues beneath your awareness. It does not rely on sound or meaning as you know it. There are no sentences, no pauses for breath. Instead, there is chemistry, a quiet exchange of molecules moving through warm darkness, carrying information with perfect patience. Inside your gut, bacteria are constantly speaking, not to you directly, but to each other and to the cells that line your digestive tract. Their language is ancient, far older than speech. It evolved not for storytelling, but for survival, balance, and cooperation. Yet its effects reach all the way to your conscious experience. When microbes break down food, they release small chemical messengers. Some are called short-chain fatty acids, a long name for very small signals. These molecules nourish the cells of your gut lining, strengthening the barrier that protects you. At the same time, they drift outward, entering the bloodstream, influencing inflammation, metabolism, and even mood. Your brain notices these changes without you realizing it is listening. Other bacterial signals influence hormones like ghrelin and leptin, which shape hunger and fullness. When food is scarce, certain messages grow stronger. When nourishment is abundant, they quiet down. This is not intention. It is feedback, like a thermostat responding to temperature. The gut is lined with millions of nerve endings, sensitive and alert. They feel chemical shifts the way skin feels warmth or cold. These nerves send information upward along the vagus nerve, the same gentle pathway that carries signals of calm and safety. What reaches your brain is not chemistry, but sensation. You feel hungry, you feel satisfied, you feel comforted or restless. The translation is complete. This is why hunger often feels emotional. It passes through emotional circuits on its way upward. The brain does not separate physical need from feeling. It receives a signal and wraps it in context, memory, and mood. A simple chemical message becomes an experience. Inside your gut, bacteria also listen. They sense the environment constantly. Changes in acidity, movement, available nutrients. When conditions shift, they respond collectively. Some slow their activity. Others multiply. Signals change accordingly. This responsiveness allows the system to adapt, but it also means it is sensitive to disruption. Stress alters gut movement and hormone levels, changing the language mid-sentence. Lack of sleep shifts microbial behavior, adding static to the signal. The message still arrives, but its tone may feel different. You are not misreading your body. The language itself has changed. As you rest, imagine this communication as a slow tide. Molecules rise and fall, ebb and flow, shaping sensation over hours rather than seconds. Nothing is instant. Nothing is sharp by default. Urgency is usually added later by the thinking mind. The bacteria do not rush. They operate on biological time, measured in cycles and availability. This slowness is a gift. It means the system can be guided gently without force. Fiber, for example, is a word the bacteria understand clearly. When it arrives, certain microbes flourish and release calming signals. These signals reduce inflammation, stabilize blood sugar, and support satiety. The brain interprets this as ease, contentment, enough. Highly processed sugars speak a different dialect. They are absorbed quickly, leaving little behind for microbial communities. Some bacteria respond by signaling scarcity soon after, even if calories were plentiful. The brain receives mixed messages. Hunger returns sooner. Cravings sharpen. Again, this is not manipulation. It is translation error caused by mismatch. Your body does not crave sugar because it is flawed. Craves predictability, balance, and continuity. When the microbial language becomes uneven, the sensations that follow feel confusing. As sleep draws you deeper, Your nervous system becomes more receptive to subtle signals. The loudness of thought fades, allowing quieter messages to surface. This is why you may feel more attuned to your body at night. Sensations feel clearer. The translation improves. The gut also produces neurotransmitters, chemical messengers often associated with the brain. Serotonin, for example, is mostly made in the gut. While it does not cross directly into the brain, it influences mood and movement locally, shaping how safe and settled the body feels. Safety is a crucial word in this language. When the gut environment feels stable, signals of safety increase. Digestion slows slightly. Repair deepens. Cravings soften. When the environment feels threatened, signals of urgency rise. Energy is requested. Comfort is sought. Understanding this language changes how you relate to your body. Hunger becomes information rather than interruption. Cravings become clues rather than enemies. You stop asking, "What is wrong with me?" and begin asking, "What is being communicated?" Tonight, there is no need to answer, only to listen. As your breath continues its steady rhythm, imagine words dissolving entirely. Let the body speak in sensation alone. Warmth, weight, ease. These are sentences too, written in chemistry rather than ink. The bacteria within you will continue speaking long after you fall asleep. They will adjust, respond, and recalibrate. Their language remains consistent, even when your awareness drifts. Tomorrow, the messages may feel slightly different, shaped by rest and renewal. And as you hover at the edge of sleep, you may begin to wonder how these countless voices decide which message becomes loudest. How, among so many signals, certain desires rise above others, shaping what you want when morning comes. As you rest more deeply now, with your breath slow and even, imagine your inner city gathering for something like a vote. Not a sudden or dramatic one, but a continuous, gentle process unfolding every time you eat, every time you rest, every time you choose without thinking. Inside your gut, decisions are being made not by intention but by numbers. Every meal you eat becomes a ballot. When food enters your body, it does not nourish you alone. It passes first through a vast microbial population waiting patiently for its share. Different foods favor different groups. Some bacteria thrive on fiber, slowly fermenting it, releasing calming compounds over time. Others prefer sugars and fats that arrive quickly, offering immediate energy but little longevity. Each bite quietly supports one group more than another. This is how the microbial vote works, not once but repeatedly. When you eat foods rich in fiber, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, you strengthen communities that specialize in patience. These microbes grow steadily, releasing signals that support fullness, stable energy, and calm. Their voices are soft but persistent. Over time, they create an environment that feels settled, predictable, safe. When you eat foods high in refined sugar or processed fats, different groups respond. These microbes multiply quickly, feast quickly, and signal quickly. Their messages are sharper, more urgent. They do not wait. They ask again soon, not because they are greedy, but because their food disappears rapidly, leaving little behind. Neither group is bad. Both evolved to help you survive. The difference lies in proportion. As certain microbial populations grow, their influence increases. They produce more signals, affect hormone levels more strongly, and shape the sensations that reach your brain. Cravings, then, are not desires chosen freely. They are outcomes of population dynamics playing out beneath your awareness. You are not voting once. You are voting daily. This is why cravings often feel self-reinforcing. When a group grows large, it signals loudly. When you respond, it grows larger still. The loop continues, not because you lack control, but because ecosystems naturally favor what sustains them. The opposite is also true. When fiber-loving microbes are underfed, their voices fade. The calming signals they produce diminish. Fullness feels less complete. Hunger returns sooner. The absence of a voice can be just as influential as its presence. As you breathe gently, notice how this reframes craving. It is no longer a moral test. It is a census result. Science shows that microbial populations can shift within days when diets change. This adaptability is remarkable, but it also means the system remembers recent patterns more strongly than distant ones. Consistency matters more than perfection. The vote is cumulative. Fat too plays a role. Certain fats slow digestion, extending the time food remains in the gut. This can support satiety when balanced well. But highly processed fats often arrive without the fiber needed to support diverse microbial communities. They favor a narrower group, amplifying specific signals while silencing others. Again, the issue is not fat itself. It is context. Sugar offers fast energy, something the body evolved to value highly. In times of scarcity, this preference saved lives. Today, sugar is abundant, and the microbes that thrive on it have many opportunities to grow. When they dominate, cravings can feel urgent and repetitive, as if the body is constantly asking for more. It is not addiction. It is arithmetic. The microbes that produce calming, appetite-regulating compounds require food that moves slowly through the gut. They depend on fiber and variety. When these foods are scarce, their numbers drop. The balance tilts. Signals change. Desire follows. As you lie here, imagine this process unfolding without drama. No good or bad actors. No punishment. Just systems responding to inputs, adapting faithfully to what arrives most often. This perspective invites gentleness. You cannot argue with an ecosystem. You can only influence it over time. Late at night, cravings often grow louder. This is partly hormonal, partly neurological, but also microbial. Evening brings lower blood sugar sensitivity, fatigue, and stress accumulation. The microbial signals that promise quick comfort rise more easily. The vote shifts temporarily toward urgency. Understanding this does not require you to resist. It invites you to observe. Cravings at night are often echoes of imbalance rather than immediate need. They soften when acknowledged without action. Sleep itself is a powerful influence on the vote. During rest, hormone levels reset. Microbial populations rebalance. Repair signals increase. Over time, consistent sleep strengthens communities associated with stability and calm. The vote begins to shift quietly without effort. Your body prefers this slow correction. Sudden restriction confuses the system. Deprivation triggers alarm, favoring microbes that demand quick energy. Gentle change reassures the ecosystem, allowing populations to adjust without panic. Think again of the city beneath your ribs. When food arrives predictably, neighborhoods stabilize. When it arrives erratically, or in excess of one type, certain areas grow crowded while others empty out. Infrastructure strains. Communication falters. Your role is not to micromanage the city. It is to provide conditions in which balance can return naturally. This is why variety matters so deeply. Different fibers support different microbes. A diverse diet creates a diverse population. Diversity stabilizes the vote. No single voice becomes overwhelming. Signals blend rather than shout. As you rest here, your body is already moving toward balance. Without eating, without effort, the system recalibrates. Hunger hormones settle. Microbial activity shifts toward maintenance. The loudest voices quiet slightly. Space opens for others to be heard. Tomorrow's cravings are already being shaped by tonight's rest. This understanding transforms the question from, "Why do I want this?" to, "Who within me is asking?" And that question carries curiosity rather than judgment. Soon, you will explore how some of these voices first arrived, how early experiences shaped which communities took root, and how memory itself lives quietly in the gut, influencing desire long before you are aware of it. Long before you remember your first taste, before language, before story, before choice, your inner world is already taking shape. While your conscious mind begins its slow journey toward awareness, your body welcomes its earliest inhabitants. These first microbes arrive quietly, settling into warm folds, shaping an ecosystem that will grow with you, adapt with you, and remember more than you realize. This beginning is not dramatic. It is intimate. At birth, your gut is largely uncolonized, an open landscape waiting patiently. The moment you enter the world, microbes begin to arrive. From skin, from breath, from nourishment. They do not rush. They establish themselves gradually, like pioneers setting up simple shelters, laying foundations that others will later build upon. How these first colonizers arrive matters. Birth method, early feeding, environment, and contact all shape which communities settle first. Breast milk, for example, contains fibers designed not to feed the baby directly, but to nourish specific microbes. These microbes, in turn, support immune development, digestion, and metabolic balance. It is one of the earliest collaborations between you and your inner ecosystem. The body remembers this cooperation. As infancy becomes childhood, the microbial city grows more complex. New foods arrive. New environments introduce new species. The ecosystem diversifies, stabilizes, and learns. It adapts to rhythms of eating, sleeping, stress, and comfort. Long before you can name a favorite food, your microbiome is already forming preferences based on experience. This is not preference in the human sense. It is pattern recognition. When certain foods consistently arrive during moments of comfort or safety, the microbes that thrive on those foods grow stronger. Their signals become familiar. The body learns to associate those sensations with reassurance. Over time, this association deepens, weaving memory into metabolism. This is why comfort foods feel comforting. They are not only emotional memories. They are biological ones. Your gut does not store images or stories. It stores responses. It remembers what once brought balance, what once restored energy, what once signaled safety. When similar conditions arise later in life, stress, fatigue, uncertainty, the body may ask for what worked before, even if the context has changed. The past whispers through sensation. Science shows that early microbial patterns can influence metabolism, immune response, and even risk of certain conditions later in life. But tonight, this knowledge is not meant to alarm you. It is meant to soften your understanding. Your body is not acting randomly. It is drawing from a long archive of experience. As you rest, imagine your inner ecosystem as a forest planted long ago. Some trees are tall and established, grown from seeds laid down early. Others arrived later, adapting to the shade and soil already present. The shape of the forest reflects its history, but it is not fixed. New growth is always possible. Memory in the gut is not rigid. It is responsive. Childhood routines matter because ecosystems thrive on repetition. Regular meals, familiar foods, predictable rhythms teach the system what to expect. When those rhythms are nurturing, the ecosystem learns calm. When they are chaotic, it learns vigilance. Neither is permanent, but both leave impressions. You may notice this in yourself. Certain foods feel grounding, even if they are not especially nourishing. Certain cravings arise during stress, echoing earlier times when comfort was needed. These are not failures of discipline. They are reflections of learning. Understanding this invites compassion. Your microbiome is not stuck in the past. It updates continuously, but like any system, it builds on what came before. Early patterns influence how quickly change occurs, not whether it is possible. As sleep deepens, your body shifts into repair mode. This is when microbial balance is gently adjusted. Signals related to growth and healing increase. The gut lining renews itself. Communication with the immune system becomes quieter, more efficient. Rest allows old patterns to soften at the edges. This is why sleep is such a powerful teacher. It offers the ecosystem time to reorganize without pressure. Even now, your microbiome is responding to your current environment. The temperature of your body, the steadiness of your breath, the absence of immediate demand. These signals communicate safety. Safety allows flexibility. Flexibility allows change. Your inner ecosystem remembers, but it is not trapped by memory. Think of memory here not as a chain but as a map. It shows where you have been, not where you must go. New routes can always be taken, slowly, gently, repeatedly. The body learns through experience, not instruction. This perspective changes how you approach cravings and habits. Instead of asking why you cannot let something go, you begin asking what it once provided. Often, the answer is comfort, stability, or relief. These needs are real. They deserve acknowledgement. As you lie here, let yourself feel gratitude for this remembering system. Kept you alive when you were small and vulnerable. It adapted when resources were uncertain. It learned what worked. Now, with awareness, you can guide it kindly toward new patterns. The forest beneath your ribs continues to grow, branch by branch, influenced by what you offer repeatedly. No single moment defines it. Only time and rhythm do. Soon you will explore how modern pressures, stress, overstimulation, lack of rest, can disturb this carefully learned balance, and how the inner garden responds when it feels threatened. As the night grows quieter and your body settles further into rest, imagine your inner ecosystem not as a city now, but as a living garden. It stretches gently beneath your ribs, rooted in warmth and rhythm, growing according to the conditions it is given. Like all gardens, it responds not only to nourishment but to weather. Stress is a sudden change in weather. It arrives quickly, often without warning, and the body feels it everywhere at once. Muscles tighten, breath shortens, hormones surge. Inside the gut, this shift is felt immediately. Blood flow changes, movement speeds or slows. The soil itself becomes less welcoming to certain microbes, while others adapt easily to the new conditions. This is not a mistake. It is protection. When stress appears, the body prepares for danger. In the distant past, stress often meant threat, hunger, or injury. The gut responded by prioritizing microbes that could extract energy quickly. Repair slowed. Long-term balance was temporarily sacrificed for immediate survival. That ancient response still lives in you. When stress lingers, however, the garden remains in survival mode too long. Helpful microbes that thrive on calm consistency begin to fade. Their signals of satiety and steadiness grow quieter. Other microbes, more tolerant of disruption, increase their presence. The balance shifts. Cravings sharpen. Comfort foods feel more compelling. The system asks for reassurance in the fastest language it knows. You feel this as urgency. Sleep deprivation intensifies this effect. Sleep is not just rest for the mind. It is restoration for the gut. During deep sleep, stress hormones fall. Repair signals rise. The lining of the gut renews itself. Microbial populations rebalance quietly. When sleep is shortened or fragmented, these processes are interrupted. The garden remains unsettled. Without adequate rest, hunger hormones become less predictable. Fullness signals weaken. The body asks for more food, not because it needs more calories, but because it is struggling to regulate itself. The gut-brain conversation becomes distorted, like a message sent through static. This is why fatigue often feels like hunger. Your body is not confused. It is compensating. As you breathe slowly now, imagine frost passing through a garden at dawn. Leaves stiffen. Growth pauses. Some plants withstand it. Others retreat until warmth returns. Stress works the same way. It does not destroy the ecosystem, but it reshapes it temporarily. The body assumes the stress will pass. When it does not, the system continues adapting. This adaptation can feel uncomfortable, but it is not permanent. Gardens recover when conditions improve. Soil regenerates. Balance returns gradually without force. Your inner ecosystem responds most strongly to signals of safety. Safety tells the body that long-term planning is possible again. Digestion slows slightly. Repair resumes. Calming microbial signals increase. Cravings soften. Sleep is one of the clearest signals of safety you can offer. As you rest here, your body receives the message that danger has passed, at least for now. Heart rate slows. Cortisol levels drop. Blood flow returns to the gut. The garden breathes again. Stress also influences what you crave, not just how strongly you crave. Under pressure, the body favors foods that require little effort to digest and offer quick energy. This preference is biological, not emotional weakness. The gut communicates what it believes is necessary for survival. Understanding this removes blame. Instead of resisting cravings during stress, the body responds better to reassurance. gentle nourishment, warmth, regular meals. Most importantly, rest. These inputs tell the ecosystem it no longer needs to shout. As sleep deepens, microbial activity shifts toward maintenance rather than demand. Signals related to inflammation decrease. Compounds that support calm and resilience increase. These changes happen whether you notice them or not. You are being tended to. Over time, chronic stress reshapes the garden, but it does not erase it. Diversity can return. Balance can be restored. The ecosystem remembers calm just as it remembers disruption. What it needs is consistency, not intensity. Small changes matter more than dramatic ones. A single night of good sleep sends a powerful signal. A few moments of slow breathing reduce stress hormones measurably. Repeated often enough, these signals reshape the microbial landscape. Your body listens carefully. As you lie here, allow yourself to feel the difference between tension and rest. Notice how heaviness replaces alertness, how breath deepens without instruction. These sensations are messages, too. They tell the inner garden that conditions are improving. Cravings that arise during stress are not demands for indulgence. They are requests for relief. Sometimes relief comes from food. Often it comes from safety, warmth, and rest. Tonight, rest is enough. The garden beneath your ribs does not need perfection. It needs stability. It needs predictability. It needs time. With these, balance returns naturally without struggle. Soon, you will explore how certain foods act not as fuel for you, but as nourishment specifically for this inner garden. How feeding the right soil quietly transforms the signals you feel. As your body rests in the gentle quiet of night, there is a kind of nourishment that continues its journey long after eating is done. It does not rush into the bloodstream. It does not spike or surge. It travels slowly, almost invisibly, moving deeper into the gut where your inner ecosystem waits. This nourishment is fiber, and it is not meant for you alone. Fiber is a gift meant for those who live within you. Unlike sugars, proteins, or fats, fiber resists digestion by your own enzymes. Your body cannot break it down on its own. Instead, it passes through the stomach and small intestine mostly unchanged, arriving intact in the large intestine like an offering placed gently at the center of the microbial city. Here it becomes a feast. The microbes recognize it immediately. Certain bacteria specialize in breaking fiber apart slowly, methodically. They ferment it piece by piece, releasing compounds as they work. These compounds, short-chain fatty acids, spread outward, nourishing the cells that line your gut, strengthening barriers, reducing inflammation. They also travel farther, influencing metabolism, immune response, and even the brain. This is nourishment that works quietly in the background. When fiber is present regularly, the microbial communities that thrive on patience begin to flourish. Their populations grow steady and resilient. They do not demand urgency. Their signals are soft, grounding, reassuring. Over time, these signals translate into sensations you recognize. Stable energy, deeper fullness, fewer sharp cravings. Fiber teaches the system to slow down. As you breathe gently, imagine fiber moving through your gut like a long, unhurried river. Along its banks, microbes gather, working together without haste. There is no rush to consume everything at once. The feast lasts for hours, sometimes longer. This extended nourishment allows signals of satiety to remain steady rather than fleeting. This is why fiber-rich meals feel different. Not heavy, not dull, but quietly complete. In a world accustomed to speed, fiber is often overlooked. It does not provide immediate stimulation. It does not offer instant comfort. But it builds something deeper: microbial diversity. Diversity stabilizes the ecosystem. When many species coexist, no single voice dominates. Cravings soften because signals balance each other naturally. The body prefers this harmony. Without fiber, the gut ecosystem grows impatient. Microbes that depend on quick sugars dominate. Their feast is brief. Signals spike and crash. Hunger returns sooner. Desire sharpens. The system feels restless, always asking for more. Again, this is not failure. It is response. Fiber also influences blood sugar regulation, slowing the absorption of glucose into the bloodstream. This steadiness prevents dramatic hormonal swings that can intensify cravings. Calm chemistry leads to calm sensation. You feel this as ease. As night deepens, your digestive system continues processing fiber consumed earlier. Even while you sleep, fermentation occurs. Calming compounds are produced. Inflammation decreases. The gut lining repairs itself. These processes contribute to the sense of restfulness that spreads through your body as sleep settles in. Fiber works best in consistency. A single serving helps, but repeated offerings teach the ecosystem what to expect. Over time, populations shift. The microbial vote changes quietly, favoring those that support long-term balance rather than short-term urgency. This change does not announce itself. It unfolds gently over days and weeks. Fiber also creates physical fullness. It adds bulk, stretches the gut slightly, activating receptors that signal satisfaction. This mechanical signal blends with chemical ones, reinforcing the sense of having enough. The body relaxes its search for more. Enough becomes a feeling, not a decision. Different fibers support different microbes. Soluble fibers dissolve and ferment easily. Insoluble fibers add structure and movement. Together, they create an environment that feels alive, dynamic, responsive. Variety matters. Just as gardens thrive with diverse plants, the gut thrives with diverse fibers. You do not need to memorize sources. Your body recognizes variety instinctively. Color, texture, whole forms. These cues often point toward fiber-rich nourishment naturally. As you rest, imagine your inner ecosystem receiving fiber as a signal of abundance without excess. It tells the microbes that resources are steady, not scarce. There is no need to shout, no need to demand. Signals soften accordingly. This is why fiber changes cravings indirectly. It does not suppress desire. It reshapes the environment that produces it. Over time, the body begins to crave differently. Foods that once felt unsatisfying grow appealing. Cravings lose their edge. Desire becomes quieter, more flexible. These shifts feel subtle, almost unnoticed, until one day you realize the noise has faded. Fiber also supports the production of compounds that influence mood. Some short-chain fatty acids interact with receptors involved in stress response and emotional regulation. Calm in the gut supports calm in the mind. The connection is not symbolic. It is chemical. This is why nourishment feels emotional. As you lie here, your body already understands this language. It responds to what it receives repeatedly. Tonight, you are not planning meals or making promises. You are simply noticing how the system prefers slow, steady nourishment over urgency. The forgotten feast continues even now, working patiently beneath your awareness. You do not need to oversee it. You only need to rest. Soon, you will explore how this inner nourishment connects directly to feeling, how the gut's own nervous system senses, responds, and communicates emotion itself, shaping intuition, mood, and comfort from the inside out. As sleep draws you closer to its deeper currents, your attention drifts inward again, toward a place that feels familiar yet rarely noticed. Beneath your ribs, beneath digestion and chemistry, there is awareness. Not thought, not language, but sensation. This is the gut's own nervous system, sometimes called the second brain, and it has been feeling on your behalf for as long as you have been alive. This second brain is made of millions of neurons woven through the walls of your digestive tract. They do not calculate or plan. They sense. They respond. They react instantly to changes in the inner environment, long before your thinking mind becomes involved. They feel pressure, movement, chemical shifts, and rhythm, translating them into signals that guide behavior. This is where gut feelings are born. When you sense unease without knowing why, when comfort spreads after a warm meal, when hunger feels emotional rather than physical, this network is active. It does not ask for explanation. It simply responds. And it communicates constantly with the brain in your head, sending and receiving information in a continuous loop. The gut-brain connection is not a metaphor. It is anatomy. Signals move along the vagus nerve, carrying information about safety, satisfaction, and stress. These signals influence heart rate, breathing, hormone release, and emotional tone. The head-brain listens closely, even if it believes it is in control. This is why emotions and eating are so deeply intertwined. They share pathways. They influence the same systems. The body does not separate feeling from nourishment. To the nervous system, both are sources of regulation. When the gut environment feels calm, signals of safety rise. The second brain tells the body it is okay to rest, digest, and repair. When the environment feels disrupted, signals of unease spread. The body becomes alert. Appetite shifts. Comfort is sought. This happens automatically. The microbes you have been learning about influence this system directly. The compounds they produce interact with gut neurons, shaping how signals are generated. A balanced microbial ecosystem supports steady, reassuring communication. An imbalanced one adds noise, amplifying discomfort or urgency. You feel this as mood. Anxiety can begin in the gut, so can calm. The second brain does not distinguish between emotional and physical input. It simply integrates information and responds in the way it has learned will restore balance. As you rest, notice how stillness changes sensation. Without external demands, the gut-brain dialogue becomes clearer. You may feel warmth, heaviness, or a subtle settling. These are messages of safety. They tell the system it can slow down. Sleep strengthens this communication. During deep rest, the nervous system shifts toward repair. The second brain reduces vigilance. Signals of inflammation decrease. Microbial metabolites that support calm increase. This biochemical environment supports emotional regulation without effort. This is why good sleep improves mood so reliably. It restores conversation. The second brain is also deeply tied to intuition. Decisions that feel immediate, choices that arise without reasoning, often originate here. The gut processes information faster than conscious thought, drawing on pattern recognition shaped by experience. This intuition is not mystical. It is biological memory expressed through sensation. When you ignore gut signals consistently, the system grows louder. Discomfort increases. Cravings intensify. When you listen gently, signals soften. The body feels heard. Listening does not mean obeying every sensation. It means acknowledging it. Curiosity replaces control. As you lie here, imagine the second brain as a quiet observer, constantly monitoring the inner environment. It notices the steadiness of your breath, the slowing of your heart, the absence of threat. It adjusts accordingly, guiding the body toward deeper rest. This guidance extends to eating behavior. When the gut feels calm, appetite regulates naturally. Fullness registers clearly. Cravings lose their edge. When the gut feels unsettled, signals become confusing. Hunger and emotion blur. Understanding this shifts responsibility away from willpower and toward care. Your body does not need to be overridden. It needs to be supported. The second brain evolved to protect you. It learned from early experiences, stress, nourishment, and rhythm. It remembers what helped and what harmed. These memories influence sensation today, often without context. This remembering is not punishment. It is protection. As sleep deepens, the second brain continues its quiet work. It coordinates digestion, communicates with immune cells. It responds to microbial signals. It does all of this without your supervision. You are allowed to rest. The more you respect this system, the more cooperative it becomes. Respect comes from regular meals, gentle nourishment, fiber, rest, and patience. It also comes from reducing self-criticism. Shame disrupts the nervous system. Compassion calms it. Tonight, compassion is simply allowing yourself to sleep. As your awareness softens, the boundary between sensation and thought blurs. You may feel less separate from your body, less divided. This unity is natural. It is how the system is designed to function when conditions are safe. Soon, you will explore how this entire ecosystem responds to change. Not through force, but through gentle adjustment, and how small, patient shifts can reshape desire over time without struggle. As the night holds you in its steady calm, you begin to sense a truth that feels both simple and profound. The world inside you does not change through command. It does not respond to pressure, punishment, or urgency. Like all living systems, it changes through safety, consistency, and time. Your inner ecosystem listens carefully to how it is treated. Force creates resistance. Sudden restriction, harsh rules, dramatic swings, these confuse the system. They signal danger. When danger is sensed, the body clings more tightly to what it knows. Cravings grow sharper. Signals grow louder. The system braces itself. Gentleness, however, communicates something entirely different. When change arrives slowly, predictably, without threat, the ecosystem relaxes. Microbes adjust their populations gradually. Hormones recalibrate. The nervous system settles. Cravings soften not because they are suppressed, but because they are no longer needed in the same way. This is how ecosystems evolve. Quietly. Small changes matter more than dramatic ones because they are repeatable. A meal that nourishes rather than alarms. A moment of rest added consistently. A pattern that feels safe enough to trust. Over time, these small signals accumulate, reshaping the internal environment. Your body notices repetition more than intention. If you feed the same types of microbes gently day after day, they grow stronger. Their calming signals increase. Other populations, no longer reinforced, fade naturally. No conflict is required. Balance returns through absence rather than struggle. This is why patience is so powerful. Cravings often disappear not when they are fought, but when they are understood and outgrown. When the ecosystem no longer needs to ask loudly, it simply stops asking. The silence feels surprising at first, almost unfamiliar. Then it feels like relief. Change does not announce itself with fanfare. It arrives quietly, like dawn. Your nervous system plays a crucial role in this process. When change feels safe, the second brain supports it willingly. When change feels threatening, it resists. Safety is communicated through regular nourishment, adequate rest, and self-trust. The body learns safety through experience, not instruction. This is why gentle consistency outperforms intensity. One nourishing choice repeated calmly reshapes the system more effectively than many extreme choices made briefly. The ecosystem responds to what happens most often, not what happens most dramatically. As you breathe slowly, imagine the inner garden you explored earlier. Gentle rain falls, no floods, no drought, just steady nourishment. Over time, the soil improves. New growth appears naturally. Old growth thins without effort. This is how transformation happens inside you. Even cravings that feel deeply ingrained can change. They are not permanent traits. They are adaptive responses. When the environment changes, responses follow. Sometimes quickly, often slowly, always predictably. Sleep itself is a powerful agent of change. Each night of rest resets hormonal rhythms, reduces stress signals, and supports microbial balance. Without doing anything else, sleep alone begins shifting the ecosystem toward calm. This is change without effort. Your body prefers this approach. Gentle movement helps too. Not exercise as punishment, but movement as reassurance. Walking, stretching, breathing deeply. These actions communicate safety and circulation. Blood flow improves. Stress hormones decline. The gut environment becomes more stable. Food choices matter, but not in isolation. Context matters more. Eating while rushed or stressed sends different signals than eating calmly. The body receives information from how you eat, not just what you eat. Calm amplifies nourishment. When meals arrive regularly, without fear or guilt, the ecosystem learns predictability. Hunger and fullness signals sharpen. Cravings lose their intensity. The system trusts that nourishment will come again. Trust is transformative. Your microbiome adapts within days, but it stabilizes over weeks. This timescale matters. It means that setbacks are not failures. A single choice does not undo progress. The ecosystem responds to trends, not moments. This understanding frees you from perfection. Changing the ecosystem gently also means allowing discomfort without panic. When old cravings fade, there may be moments of emptiness or uncertainty. The body is recalibrating. This phase passes when met with patience rather than urgency. The system learns through exposure and reassurance. As sleep deepens now, your body is already adjusting. Microbial populations shift toward maintenance. Repair signals rise. The environment becomes more receptive to balance. You do not need to manage this process. You only need to allow it. Tomorrow, when you wake, you may not feel dramatically different. Change rarely announces itself so clearly. But beneath the surface, patterns will have shifted slightly. Signals will have softened. The ecosystem will have moved one step closer to equilibrium. Over time, these small shifts accumulate into something stable. Gentle change honors the intelligence of your body. It acknowledges that you are not a machine to be corrected, but a living system to be supported. This perspective invites compassion, which itself calms the nervous system and supports balance. You are not fixing yourself. You are partnering with yourself. As the night holds you, imagine the ecosystem beneath your ribs responding gratefully to this approach. No alarms, no urgency, just steady adjustment. The system breathes with you. Soon, you will step back and see the larger picture, not cravings as problems to solve, but as signals within a partnership, and how living in cooperation with this inner world changes not just eating, but how you relate to yourself. As the night reaches its deepest quiet, there is a sense of coming home. Not to a place, but to an understanding. You are not divided inside yourself. There is no battle between mind and body, no enemy hidden beneath your ribs. There is only relationship, a living partnership unfolding moment by moment, shaped by listening rather than control. Your body has never been trying to sabotage you. Everything you have explored, cravings, hunger, comfort, rest, begins to settle into a single idea. The inner ecosystem is not something to conquer or correct. It is something to live with, to cooperate with, to trust. Partnership begins with recognition. The microbes within you are not strangers. They are collaborators that have grown with you, adapted with you, responded faithfully to what you offered again and again. They learned from your rhythms, your stress, your nourishment, your rest. In return, they shaped signals that helped you survive. Even when those signals felt confusing, they came from care. Cravings, once seen as interruptions, now soften into messages. They are not commands demanding obedience. They are information arriving in sensation rather than words. When understood this way, they lose their power to frighten or shame. They become part of a conversation, and conversations change when they are acknowledged. Living in partnership means listening without panic. It means responding without punishment. When the body asks for comfort, you consider what kind of comfort is truly needed. Sometimes it is food. Sometimes it is rest. Sometimes it is reassurance. The answer varies, and that flexibility is strength. The inner ecosystem responds beautifully to this approach. When it feels heard, it becomes quieter. Signals regulate themselves. Urgency fades. Trust replaces tension. Trust is built slowly. Each calm meal, each moment of rest, each gentle response teaches the system that it does not need to shout. The microbial city settles. The garden regrows. The second brain relaxes its vigilance. Balance becomes the default rather than the exception. This partnership extends beyond eating. It shapes how you move through the world. When you stop fighting your body, you conserve energy. When you stop judging sensation, you reduce stress. The nervous system notices this immediately. Safety increases. Repair deepens. Your body thrives in safety. Living in partnership also means allowing imperfection. No ecosystem is static. There will be days when signals feel louder again. Stress will return. Sleep will sometimes be short. The system will adapt as it always has. These moments are not setbacks. They are part of living. The partnership does not break because of fluctuation. It strengthens through resilience. As you lie here, breathing slowly, you may notice a subtle shift in how you feel about your body. Less tension, less suspicion, more curiosity. This shift alone changes chemistry. Compassion lowers stress hormones. Curiosity calms the nervous system. The inner world responds immediately. This is not philosophy. It is physiology. Science shows that perception alters biological response. How you interpret bodily signals influences hormone release, immune function, and gut-brain communication. Kind interpretation produces different outcomes than judgment. Partnership is not just emotional. It is measurable. Tonight, partnership feels like rest. Your body is doing what it knows how to do best when conditions allow. Repairing, recalibrating, maintaining balance. You are not directing this process. You are allowing it. This allowance is powerful. As sleep deepens further, the conversation within you continues without effort. Microbes exchange signals. Neurons communicate. Hormones adjust. All of it happens quietly, efficiently, without instruction. You are carried by systems that evolve to support life. Tomorrow, when you wake, you will carry this partnership with you. It will shape how you interpret hunger, how you respond to craving, how you choose rest. You may not notice it immediately. Change at this level is subtle, but over time it becomes unmistakable. Living in partnership does not mean constant awareness. It means trust that the conversation continues even when you are busy, distracted, or asleep. It means returning to listening when confusion arises, rather than assuming failure. Your body does not expect perfection. It expects presence. As the night holds you, let this understanding settle like a final blanket. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are participating in a living system that adjusts continuously in response to care. This story does not end here. Pauses. Tomorrow, the inner ecosystem will greet new inputs, new rhythms, new experiences. It will adapt as it always has, drawing on memory, diversity, and balance. And you will continue learning how to listen without fear. For now, rest is enough.